Okay, so listen. There might be a situation going on at the moment and I could really use your help to check it out. It's not just gold and silver mining that took place out here. Even more recently, there was a working uranium mine in the area. When the reserve was established, we took responsibility for keeping it safe. Anyway, the old uranium mine is very rarely a problem. But recently, it appears that one of our neighbors, a guy I went to school with actually, has been spotted camping out around the mine. His name's Bobby Joe Jefferson. He's normally just a nuisance, driving his quad bike around and setting up little shooting ranges with tin cans. He makes the deer and turkeys extra skittish, so the hunters hate him. Can you head over to the mine and see what's going on? He's allowed to hike and camp there, but I don't want him going anywhere near the entrance itself. First things first, let's make sure that the mine itself is still secure. A trail camera? I've used these for work and for hunting before. This one shouldn't be here, though. We don't want hunters so close to the mine. Grab the camera. Another trail camera. Bobby Joe doesn't have a permit to hunt here. Is he poaching? This looks intact, at least. That's gotta be a good sign. Hopefully that's the last one. Pick him up and I'll put him in our lost and found when I can take him from you. I don't really understand what's going on with the cameras, but at least the entrance is secure. Let's go find his camp, shall we? It was actually Remy that called this one in. He doesn't know who Bobby Joe is, but I knew who it was as soon as Remy described him. That looks like his camp. Any sign of him? Rifle cartridges. That's not good news. Binoculars. Maybe he was hunting. Some snacks? Not enough to last a long trip, though. I'm seeing a pretty worrying pattern here. Take a look in the tent. A journal. Maybe this'll show us why he's out here. That's our sign. Pick it up, would you? Secret uranium mining. Government conspiracy? I'll be honest. I never credited Bobby Joe with this much imagination in high school. Replant the sign, and we're done here for now. You know what makes this extra weird? He actually has done some detective work. Enough to convince himself to camp here. signs back up? Great. This mine has never been a problem before, but let's not take any chances. Me and my dad have been dealing with Bobby Joe for years, but this is new. I know he's a nuisance, but I always felt sorry for him. He had a pretty tough upbringing. I don't want to call the police, but I have to. He's armed and known for making poor choices. It would appear that it's not just the neighbors that are making questionable calls today. Sometimes folks from the city will drive out here to get away from work or their personal lives or whatever happens to be bothering them. The problem is that sometimes, quite often actually, people wander into the wilderness without a clue of how to survive if things go wrong. Not that there's anything wrong with that, of course. And based on a couple of phone calls I've had from the hospital today, I think that someone has made a mess and could use some help. I was going to check in on them myself, but I need to coordinate with the police on this Bobby Joe thing, and you're already really close by. Can you head over to the campgrounds nearby and check in on them? The phone calls were sporadic at best. As far as I can tell, this professional yoga and meditation expert has led a group of accountants from Denver into the wilderness on some sort of spiritual retreat. She took their cell phones away from them and had them eating wild flowers and berries. Some of them got sick and have gone directly to the hospital. I know that we're not the reason why this happened, but it could look very bad for us if anyone gets seriously hurt. I'd appreciate it if you'd hustle and check it out. They said they were bringing 20 people. Where is everyone? Is the leader in her tent? She goes by Jem Botten. Can you hear the phones ringing? I guess we know where she hid them then. The accountants have left. I'm going to send someone to make sure they got back to their cars safely. This is an absolute disaster. A bunch of poisoned accountants and a lone woman climbing a non-specific mountain. Next time someone tries to run a retreat out here, I'm gonna make them hire a professional guide. She's expecting the others to meet her at the top of a mountain? Which one?
This is exactly the sort of thing I find myself fighting uphill against. It's hard to get going when stuff like this keeps... Okay, first things first. We need to figure out where Bodden's gone. I'll try to reach some of the accountants back at the hospital. Maybe they can help. I get the distinct feeling that she hasn't packed hiking boots or proper equipment for a climb. Maybe she'll turn back soon. I'll let you know if I hear anything, okay? Today continues to throw up challenges for us. I have another job for you, and this one is urgent. We received a call from one of our neighbors, Norman, asking if we'd seen his dad, a longtime friend of the reserve. Apparently he's gone missing and he's taken all the family camping supplies with him. Around the same time, 2 hikers reported to us that they spotted a single old man laden down with gear, heading into a part of the reserve that is known for its bears. When they asked him if he needed any help, he politely declined and kept walking. Their description matches old Ted perfectly. Short white hair, green rain slicker, and brown leather boots. No gun. I'm trying to get a hold of Norman, but he said that he'd make some more calls just in case Teddy's gone to visit friends. I'm just getting his voicemail at the moment. While I sort this out, can you head over to where the hikers saw him and try to follow old Teddy's trail? He knows his way around here, so I have no idea why he'd wander into bear country. That's the place. You found where the hikers spotted him. That's good news. Listen, I got a hold of Norman and he's on his way out here. But he's a couple of hours drive away. I told him that we were looking for his dad. Norman's really worried. He thinks that Ted has had a breakdown. Ted's wife, Jeannie, died a couple of weeks ago, and since the funeral, Ted hasn't been himself. The family were giving him as much space as they could, but now they're worried that he's fully isolated himself and he's made some bad decisions that have led him here. Norman took a trip to visit him, but when he arrived, Ted was gone and so was his car. Norman remembers his dad saying that he proposed to Jeannie during a trip to Silver Ridge Peaks 45 years ago. That whole region is a beautiful valley, but nobody goes out there unarmed while the bears are roaming around. It might be a long shot, but can you gear up with whatever you need and head into bear country as soon as possible? If Ted's looking for where he proposed almost a half a century ago, I just hope he finds it before the bears find him. I'll mark the beauty spot on your GPS. Be careful in those parts. Keep your rifle handy at all times. This is the beauty spot. But he's gone. There's no sign of an encounter. But look, Ted was definitely here. Ted and Jeannie, 1978. I can't even imagine what's going through his head at the moment. My dad and I used to talk about men who would seek their solace in nature. He told me that if he didn't have my mom or me around, he'd eventually have just started living out here. I didn't believe him at first, but as I've grown older, it makes more sense to me. He's running from the pain he's feeling. Out there, he doesn't need to think about anyone or anything else. He can just be alone. Norman will be here soon. I told him that his visit will include a trip to bear country, so he's got a rifle to protect himself. I'll point him to his dad's old camp for now. It makes most sense for that to be where Ted will come back to whenever he's ready. There's no tracks for you to follow, and while I don't like the idea of him wandering around, Ted clearly wants to be alone out here. might have a lead on our missing yoga instructor. Sammy was driving home after the rappelling lesson, and she heard something that could be Miss Bodden. She had pulled over to look under the hood of her car, and she swears she heard a scream from the woods nearby. And I asked her if it could have been an animal noise, but she seemed pretty insistent that it was a woman's scream. I know it's nothing solid to go on, but it could be what leads us to her. Can you check it out? I'll mark the spot on your GPS. This is bear country. Sure, they're normally quick to turn tail and run, but they're extremely aggressive if their cubs are nearby. It's time for maximum caution. Can you hear that? It's like a horn or something. There, on the ground. An air horn app? I've heard of people trying to scare away bears and cougars with real-life air horns. Personally, I've never really trusted using sound to scare off a bear, not permanently at least. Well, that's the contact number I had for her. Cell phone service can be really poor out there, though. Still, she was here. Check out the bear markings on that tree. Those look like fresh footprints. She made it out of there, heading west. Still, now she has no phone and no water bottle. Let me look at the map and I'll come up with a game plan.
Looks like someone forgot their bear deterrent. Mind you, if you're caught unaware, it might not help. I'll never forget the time I was hunting elk with a group of friends, and a 1,200-pound grizzly came in hot from 30 yards out. Some of us had bear spray, but the wind was too strong to use it. The only reason we made it out alive is because the bear got confused when all 6 of us split up. It was like something out of a movie.
There's no sign of her, is there? If she tried to hide from a bear up a tree, she found out pretty fast that bears are great climbers. Maybe she threw the water bottle in her phone to give herself a chance to escape. Are there any more clues? A bear! Be careful! Got it. Not far from where you are, we have the old funicular railway. It's pretty big, and it's a tourist attraction. If Baden sees it, then maybe she'll head towards it to look for help. At the bottom of the track, there's an old shed that she could try to shelter close to. It's not much, but it's a start. Given how badly things have gone for her so far, I can only hope that she's not still planning to climb a mountain. I'm going to give the accountants another call at the hospital. See if they can't help us work out where her head is at. Looks like the bears have been using the shed as a latrine and a scratching post. I'm meant to be taking a potential investor to tour the reserve this week. She cannot see this. Baden's not here. There's no sign of her. And I still can't get through to the accountants. They've left the hospital and don't have their cell phones. Can you put the shed back together and tidy things up a bit? I hate to do this, but there's no way I'm gonna make it out there before the tour. It might be from a bear, but why would they come here? I don't see bears tearing that off. Thanks. It's probably still gonna smell pretty bad, but at least it's not covered in bear scat. Bears tend to stay away from humans, and we never kept anything that would attract them inside that shed. Are there any tracks nearby? The place looked fine when I was here last week. That's unexpected. The public don't tend to drive to the funicular, and if it was one of the staff, they'd use quad bikes. This looks like it was left by a car or a truck. I think someone has vandalized our property. It doesn't make a lot of sense, though. Why would anyone come all the way out here to do this? Maybe bored teenagers? I pulled some stupid pranks when I was young, but none involved ferrying around a bunch of bear scat. Given that this has happened to the shed, I'm a little worried about the railway itself. It's a unique tourist site, over 100 years old. It leads all the way up to Prosperity, the reserve's ghost town. It used to be home to the miners who came out here during the silver rush. I think it's a little creepy, but tourists like it. Would you check the track out, please? I would feel a lot better knowing it's okay. What's going on with the rail? Torn up? As in removed? How did they even... It's just been ripped out of the ground. Gone. This would have taken a crew and equipment. This isn't teenagers with too much time on their hands. This is the sabotage of one of our irreplaceable attractions. I need some pictures. I'm gonna send them to the police. hold with the sheriff's office. Then I think I need to call my dad. Since it appears that someone is trying to sabotage the reserve, I need you... Hello, yes, Sheriff Cole, please. I need you to head up to the ghost town and see if they've done any damage there. I'll check in later. Jerry, hey, thanks for picking up so fast. Let me know when you get to the ghost town. I've got a heavy feeling in the pit of my stomach. They've been here as well. Damn it! They've gone from vandals to poachers and mindless animal killers. This is escalating so quickly. Who would possibly want to do this? Some disgruntled former staff member? My dad and I haven't had any trouble with any of our staff, past or present. Can you take a look around? I want to know just how much damage these guys have done. If you find an animal, take a picture and send it my way, please. I'll save this for the police. Thanks. Good work. Got it. A third? Okay. Another one? How long did this take them, I wonder? Is that the last of them? Hopefully this is the only place... Was that a door opening? Are they still here? Be careful. We know they're armed. What's that sound? It's horrible. Those sounds... like animals dying. End hunting now. What? Is this some kind of activist? I don't buy it. I know we hunt animals, but making a quick, clean kill is paramount for us. Take a picture of the text and send it over. This was... something else. Needless cruelty. All to send us a message. the photograph. I'll save it with the others. How the hell has this happened? How did we go from thinking this was kids being a nuisance to armed poachers killing and torturing animals? The deputy sheriff is on her way over now. Listen, I don't think it's best for you to be chasing these people down now. They're armed, and they don't seem to care much for ethics or responsibility. I'd like you to get out of there, and the police will take over. There is actually one place where it's hopefully safe to send you, where you might find something that can help us. These people seem to know exactly how to hurt us. They've targeted our unique tourist spots and our animals. There's a fossil excavation site that I was planning to show our investor as well. It's abandoned just now as the college ran out of funding for the dig last year, but we've been keeping it safe for when they come back. It's basically just a shed and a hole, but it represents a good opportunity to interact with the local community and college. Tourists don't go there, but it's a big part of raising the reserve's profile in a way that doesn't involve hunting. Can you head over there and make sure everything is still locked up and secure? It's not good for our reputation if we can't protect a tiny dig site. Sheriff's office are all discussing what's been going on up here. It turns out that they've been sharing notes. One of the deputies actually pulled over a truck just outside the reserve. The truck was hauling a short chunk of rail track and two big heavy railway sleepers. Turns out the driver runs some kind of historical museum out in Arizona. He claims someone called Mr. Green reached out to him and offered him a chance to take home some historic railroad. The driver was confused, but was keen to grab a piece of Gold Rush history, so he drove out to retrieve a piece yesterday. Said that he and his son had to cut it out with a saw and lift it with a crane. He had receipts for the whole plant rental and everything. You're nearly there. It's not much, but you'll recognize it when you see it. Obviously, we had nothing to do with this exchange, so the question becomes, who on earth is Mr. Green? Okay, so at least the site itself hasn't been touched. The cops were gonna ask me about it, but the guy was adamant that it all been signed off by this Mr. Green. What about the tool shed? They left an inventory, but there wasn't much in there, just some digging tools and a rock saw. They just tried calling his number, and it's not recognized. They're gonna get in touch with the truck driver and get back to me. I knew it. Of course they've been here as well. They've taken something. The rock saw is missing. I looked them up and they're like $500 brand new. This one was used and old. I doubt it's worth much. It was pretty heavy too. Have a look around. I wonder if they drove up here to get it. Gotcha. Okay. So they're in a car or truck and they've been here recently. I've got a plan, but we're gonna need to act fast. Grab a photo of those tracks and send it to me. I'm gonna round up some of my friends. Stay on the line. Okay, so we're going to lock down the barricades for all of our roads. Nothing gets in or out. I've rounded up a few people to help, but I've got a gate I need you to lock up. First thing you'll need to do is grab a padlock. I keep one in the closest lookout tower to the gate. Once you're inside, look for a locker. Inside. Let me know when you've grabbed the padlock. Got the padlock? Okay. Your GPS will show you where to find the right gate. We're almost there. The other roads are all locked down. Just your gate left to close. One of my friends says he arrived at his gate just as a truck was leaving. He recorded the license plate, though. The deputy's gonna take a look. Shut. Great work. If the criminals are still inside the reserve, they're gonna need to go off-road to escape. I feel better. The police are working with us now, and we have taken steps to get things back on track. The deputies share my suspicions about this being the work of animal rights activists. Sure, we get the odd email from time to time. A few years ago, my dad narrowly avoided having red paint thrown all over him by someone who had come looking for trouble. There's a group called the Activists for the Protection of Animal Rights, APAR. They've sent us some letters in the past. Thing is, it's been all calm on that front recently. And if you want to target, why us? We're not high profile. Until recently, that was my biggest problem. Plus, the sounds on that tape will be with me for a while. I don't think the person who recorded them is likely to be sensitive to animal rights. One thing I do know is that this lockdown is going to hurt us. People will talk. And I know that there are people on the board who are already considering replacing me. I do have better news, though. One of the accountants got back to me about this meditation mountain that Baden was going to climb. She's ambitious, I'll give her that. She set her sights on one of our taller mountains, Mount Ursula. The police are in charge, so we have to take the back seat for a while. In the meantime, I'd like you to have another shot at finding Baden. She must be in a pretty rough state by now. blood on the ground. Keep following that trail. Whoever it was that drove in here got out. Follow the footprints. That tree, it's been marked. Is that a hand? A bloody handprint? That's really not a good sign. Whose blood is on his hands? Look, there's blood on the ground. Keep following that trail. This seems to be the end of the trail. There's a little patch of disturbed soil. Did they bury something? It's a rusty old saw blade. Oh, it's the saw blade that had been attached to the dig team's rock saw. But why detach it from the saw and bury it unless it was important? Take another look at the blade. It's not just rusty, is it? It's got blood on it. I'd bet it's the vandal's blood, too. Okay, don't touch the blade. Leave it there. The deputy's on their way. They'll probably want to talk to you. I think we've just found the missing piece of the puzzle. Great work. I've got an update. Junior and his friend were just pulled over by the state police. Guess who has a nasty gash across their hand? Good morning, my friend. I hope you've enjoyed the last few days of uninterrupted peace and tranquility. I've just said goodbye to the last of the deputies team. They've gathered up all the evidence they think they'll need. While you've been busy hunting and exploring, I've been in interviews or giving statements to the police, the board, and even the local press. I haven't stopped or slowed down for what feels like at least a week now. I doubt today will be very different. I wanted to catch up with you this morning as I wanted to express my gratitude for the work you've done and ask you for one last big favor. I know I mentioned my dad's concern that there was a more spiritual reason for why things have been tough at the reserve. I can't say that I necessarily agree with him, but I'd like to do something to make him feel better. This job involves a journey to the top of Mount Silver Ridge. I don't trust anyone else to do this. Can you make it to the start of the trail? I think I ought to tell you why I'm sending you over there, right? So, since my dad got sick and I took over the warden position, we've sort of stopped doing a lot of the things that we used to do together. Sadly, this has resulted in us both missing the bear dance back in spring. I know it means a lot to my dad, and I feel bad that we weren't able to make it. It can get pretty tense when we discuss our culture back home. Dad and I see the world through different lenses. I am proud of my heritage and where I come from,
But I don't want it to define me as a person. Dad sees that as me turning my back on my community. Since we both missed the bear dance, I plan to make it up to Dad by attending the Sundance in a week's time. You're probably wondering what this has to do with you walking up a mountain, right? Just before I was born, my grandfather climbed Mount Silver Ridge and stashed a pair of quartz rattles at the top. When I was a teenager, my dad showed me them and told me that they were only to be brought down the mountain in times of dire need. I think that if I bring those rattles with me to the Sundance, Dad will appreciate that I've accepted their significance and paid respect to our beliefs. So, after helping pull the reserve back together, I'm hoping you'll help me comfort my dad. I hope I'm not asking too much. Appreciate you taking the time to do this. I can promise you that the views from the top are worth the climb. Plus, you never know what you might be able to hunt on the way, right? While you're on your way up, why don't I fill you in on the recent news? So, first things first, Junior. I have some mixed news there. Was it Junior that terrorized the reserve? Almost certainly yes. He has, however, been released from prison after one of Daddy's lawyers stepped in to save him. He's so cocky that he actually gave an interview to a reporter, but kept using phrases like we and us, as well as the Simpkins family, which raised a few red flags. I am confident that the evidence we've gathered and Bobby Joe's testimony will help to bring the truth out, though. Anyway, in light of everything that went on here, the police are looking at the whole Simpkins family, not just Junior. I suspect that Simpkins Sr. saw an opportunity to get his payback on the APAR for brainwashing Timothy, the reserve for pushing him off the board, and on my family after my dad reported his eldest son to the police. Oh, and speaking of the board, they've really been great in the last couple of days. They've been really supportive and appreciative of how this mess has been dealt with. I'm getting a lot of the credit, but I keep telling them you were doing most of the work out there in the reserve. If there was ever any doubt from the board that I was right in hiring you, it's gone now. In fact, the work that you and Remy have done is already having a strong effect on our bookings. Next week's schedule is already filling up fast.
amazing up there, isn't it? I've only made the climb a handful of times, but it's such a great view. The rattles should be easy to find. They're in a protective case. Mission accomplished. Thank you. This means a lot to me. Enjoy the view from the top. You earned it. Our outlook is so much brighter, just because you're here with us. When I get back from the Sundance, why don't we spend some time hunting together? The media attention has actually had some unforeseen side effects. Some government inspectors are coming out to visit the polluted lake. I guess there is such a thing as bad press, huh? I'm gonna go get ready for that meeting. Hopefully we can get things moving again. Take care. We'll catch up soon.